My name is Brenda Walsh, and on my 29th birthday, I saw a Facebook post that changed everything. My brother, the family's golden child, was headed to Italy, tagging mom and dad. "Thanks, mom and dad, for the best gift ever," dad commented. "He's the only one who makes us proud." I froze. I'm 29, a marketing specialist in Charlotte, North Carolina, scraping by in a small apartment. I've poured my paychecks into a joint account for years, thinking it was for Dad's heart condition. That morning, no birthday calls, no texts, just that post. I checked the trip's cost online, $8,000. Exactly my last transfer to the account. My coffee went cold. I opened my laptop, logged into the bank account I'd set up 5 years ago, and saw the balance. My money, not theirs. My finger hovered, then clicked withdraw. This wasn't just about the money, it was about taking back my life. If you've ever been sidelined by your family or felt the sting of favoritism, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more raw, real-life stories. Trust me, you'll want to see how this unfolds. A week after my birthday, I couldn't shake the bitterness from that Facebook post. I sat at my kitchen table in Charlotte, staring at the laptop screen where I'd just withdrawn the money, but the anger simmered deeper, pulling me back to memories of growing up in Raleigh. As kids, my brother always got the best of everything. He had the bigger bedroom with fresh paint and new furniture, while I shared a cramped space with hand-me-downs from cousins when he struggled in math. My parents hired a private tutor without hesitation. For me, straight A's came from late nights studying alone at the library because they said we couldn't afford extra help. In high school, he joined the soccer team, and they bought him expensive cleats and drove to every game, cheering from the sidelines with banners. I wanted to try theater, but Dad told me it was a waste of time and money, so I worked part-time at a fast food joint to pay for audition fees myself. They never showed up to my performances, but his championship games were family events with pizza parties afterward. Now, at 29, I was a marketing specialist at a mid-sized firm in Charlotte, pulling in a decent salary but always watching my budget. The job involved crafting campaigns for consumer brands, long hours pitching ideas, and occasional travel that I skipped to save cash. I lived simply in my one-bedroom apartment. No fancy vacations or designer clothes, because I'd been funneling money into that joint account. It started 5 years ago when Dad had his first heart scare. The doctor diagnosed a condition that needed ongoing treatment and meds. Insurance covered some, but the bills mounted. I offered to help, setting up the account in my name for easy transfers. Every month, $600 went straight from my paycheck thinking it was for his health. For emergencies, that afternoon, I called Dad, hoping maybe he'd remember my birthday or at least explain the post. The phone rang a few times before he answered. His voice rushed. "Brenda, hi, we're at the airport seeing your brother off. Can this wait?" I paused, hearing the announcements in the background. "It's my birthday, Dad." Silence. Then, "Oh, yeah, happy birthday. Listen, the flight's boarding soon. Talk later." He hung up. I set the phone down, my chest tight. Later that evening, I met up with my cousin Kyle Pierce at a coffee shop near my place. He's a few years older, works as an accountant in Charlotte, and we've always been close despite the family dynamics. I told him about the post and my suspicions. "Kyle, I need your help looking at this account." I set it up for Dad's heart bills, transferring $600 a month for 5 years. But something feels off. He nodded, pulling out his laptop. We logged in together, scanning the recent history. There were withdrawals for utilities and groceries, but then larger ones caught our eye: a $4,000 charge for a travel agency, another for boutique shopping labeled as gifts, and last month, a $10,000 transfer to my brother's personal account. Memo support. Kyle whistled low. This isn't for heart meds. Brenda, they've been using your money for him. My stomach twisted as we dug deeper, confirming the pattern. Every transfer I'd made seemed funneled right to luxuries for him, while I skipped lunches to make ends meet. I leaned back, processing it all. For years, I'd sacrificed eating cheap meals after car repairs, turning down invites to concerts with friends because I prioritized that account. Meanwhile, they treated him like royalty on my dime. Kyle put a hand on my shoulder. You don't owe them this. It's your money. We spent the next hour discussing options, but I knew what I had to do. The guilt flickered, but the betrayal burned stronger. 3 days later, Kyle and I met again at his office in Charlotte to dive deeper into the account records. He had pulled up the full transaction history on his secure system, cross-referencing dates with my pay stubs. As we scrolled through, the evidence piled up. There was the $4,000 travel agency charge for the Italy trip, clearly labeled as a surprise for my brother. Then the boutique shopping hits, over 1,000 each time, with memos like gifts for success. But what hit hardest was a $10,000 wire to his personal account 2 months back, noted as education boost, even though he dropped out of college years ago. Kyle pointed out patterns I hadn't seen before. Look at this. Brenda, every time you deposited $600, they'd pull chunks within weeks. We calculated it out 5 years of consistent transfers from my marketing salary, totaling $36,000 exactly. Not a penny from mom or dad's side, purely my contributions, meant for dad's heart treatments like doctor visits and prescriptions. Instead, they'd treated it like a slush fund for my brother's whims. I felt the room spin as we uncovered more. A series of restaurant bills from upscale places in Raleigh, always around his birthday, totaling thousands over time. Then came the shocker. Buried in last year's logs, a $5,000 withdrawal with the memo, Brenda gift to Dylan, car down payment. I stared at the screen, my blood boiling. I'd never agreed to that. In fact, I remembered him mentioning a new car last summer, bragging about how our parents helped him out. But labeling it as my gift, that was a blatant lie, twisting my hard-earned money into something I had no say in. Kyle shook his head. This crosses a line. It's not just misuse, it's fraud in their eyes, making it look like you approved. I nodded, the pieces clicking. All those years, I'd assumed my sacrifices were helping with real needs, like dad's cardiologist appointments or medication copays. But this proved otherwise. They'd been siphoning it for my brother, propping him up while I struggled. My mind raced back to the personal costs. The time I skipped a work conference in New York because registration fees would dip into my savings I prioritized for that account. Or the weeks I lived on instant noodles after my laptop broke, refusing to touch emergency funds because I wanted to keep the transfers going. Meanwhile, they were funding his lifestyle upgrades. From that car to designer clothes, and now this lavish Europe getaway. The betrayal stung sharper than ever, like a slap after years of turning the other cheek. Kyle advised caution. We can document everything. Banks have fraud teams. But since it's joint, withdrawing your contributions is legal. I agreed. But the decision was mine. Over those 3 days, I transferred the $36,000 back to my personal account in small batches, $2,000 here, $3,000 there to avoid any flags. Each click felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. The initial wave of doubt hit, wondering if I was overreacting or being selfish. But seeing that fake gift memo erased it. This wasn't petty, it was necessary. They'd lied, manipulated, and now I'd end it. As the last transfer cleared, I closed the laptop with a sense of finality. Kyle offered to back me up if things escalated, but I knew the storm was coming, for the first time. Though, I felt ready. The money was back where it belonged, and so was my resolve. A month after the transfers cleared, my phone buzzed with a call from Italy. It was my brother Dylan Walsh, his voice bubbly over the international line. "Brenda, you won't believe this place, the food, the sights. Mom and Dad really outdid themselves with this trip. We're at the Colosseum today, and tomorrow it's Venice. It's all thanks to the family support." You know, I gripped the phone tighter, his casual gratitude hitting like irony. "Sounds great," I replied flatly. He paused, then added, "I mean, I know you've been chipping in for Dad's stuff. Appreciate it. Sis." I nearly scoffed but held back. "Enjoy it, Dylan." We hung up soon after, his oblivious cheer lingering like salt in a wound. That call stirred up old memories from our Raleigh days, ones I'd buried deep. Back when I was 18, I'd saved for months from my after-school job at a bookstore to buy a decent laptop for college applications. Every paycheck went toward it, skipping movies and mall trips with friends. The day I finally had enough, I came home excited, only to find Mom and Dad at the kitchen table with Dylan, then 14, beaming over paperwork. They'd just co-signed a loan for his first used car, saying he needed it for part-time work and sports practice. The down payment pulled from family savings they'd borrowed against the house equity. When I asked about my laptop fund, Dad shrugged. "We can figure that out later. Your brother's got priorities right now." I ended up delaying my purchase, using the public library computers instead, while he cruised around in that car. It wasn't just favoritism, it was them leveraging debt to keep him ahead, leaving me to fend for myself. Shaking off the resentment, I turned my focus to the reclaimed money. $36,000 sat in my personal account now, a safety net I'd earned. I researched options online and found a 6-month financial management certification program at a local community college in Charlotte. It covered budgeting, investments, and healthcare finance skills I'd always wanted but never pursued due to the monthly drains. The tuition was $8,000 upfront, a chunk but feasible with what I'd taken back. I signed up that night, classes starting evenings twice a week. On the first session, I met Gloria Simmons, a single mom in her 40s retraining after a layoff from retail. We bonded over coffee breaks, her sharing tips on balancing work and studies. The next day at the office, I confided in my coworker Fiona Reed during lunch. She's been a solid friend since I started the marketing job, always straightforward with advice. "Fiona, I finally pulled the plug on that family account. Found out they were using it all for Dylan." She set down her sandwich, eyes wide. "About time. You've been carrying them for years. What pushed you?" I explained the Italy trip and the fake memos without going into every detail. "It feels liberating, but scary too." Fiona nodded. "Boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. Use that money for you now. This course sounds perfect." Her words stuck, easing the lingering doubts. We brainstormed how the certification could pivot my career toward financial consulting for brands, blending my marketing background. Over the following weeks, the program consumed my free time. Lectures on debt management hit close, reminding me of how my parents' house loan for Dylan's car had ballooned interest over years. Yet they never mentioned it when asking for more from me. Gloria and I studied together on weekends at a library near my apartment, reviewing case studies on family budgets gone wrong. "You're turning this mess into strength," she said one Saturday. I smiled, feeling the shift. The money wasn't just recovered, it was investing in a future where I called the shots. Dylan called again mid-month, still in Europe, rambling about gondola rides and pasta. "You should come next time, Brenda, family trip." I cut him short. "I'm busy with my own plans." His tone shifted. "Everything okay? You sound off." "Just fine." I ended the call, no longer feeling obligated to pretend. That night, I reviewed my course notes, outlining how to build an emergency fund separate from anyone else. The freedom tasted new, like breathing after holding my breath too long. 2 months into my financial management course, the fallout began. Dad called first, his voice tense over the line. "Brenda, there's an issue with the account. Money's gone over 30,000. The bank says transfer's out." "What do you know?" I took a breath, choosing words carefully. "I withdrew it, Dad. It was all mine. From my transfers for your heart bills." Silence stretched. Then he exploded. "That was family money. We needed it for essentials." I countered sharply. "Essentials like Dylan's Italy trip? Or his car?" I saw the memos. He stammered. "That's different. Your brother deserves nice things. He's working hard." The call ended with him threatening to involve the bank. Claiming joint access meant I couldn't just take it back. The next day, an email from Mom landed in my inbox, her tone accusatory and shrill. My mother, Cynthia Walsh, wrote, "How dare you steal from us? Brenda, we trusted you with that account for emergencies, not your petty grudges. Return the money now, or we'll consider legal options. Family doesn't betray each other like this." I read it twice, the word steal, stinging. Legal options in North Carolina. Joint accounts allowed withdrawals by any holder, especially since I'd funded it entirely. But their bluff rattled me. I forwarded it to Kyle for advice, and he confirmed. "They have no case it's your contributions. Document everything in case they push." Still, the threat hung heavy, a new layer of manipulation I'd never seen from them. I threw myself into the course to cope, acing assignments on debt analysis and investment strategies. Gloria noticed my distraction during a study session at the coffee shop. "You look worn out. What's going on?" I shared the basics about the family blow-up, without specifics on the amounts. She listened, then shared her own story of cutting off toxic relatives after her divorce. "Setting limits saved my sanity. You're not alone in this." Her empathy grounded me, reminding me the program was my path forward, at work. Fiona pulled me aside after a team meeting. "You've been quiet lately. Spill." I told her about the calls and email, the veiled legal threats. "They're trying to guilt me back into line." Fiona shook her head. "Classic control tactic. Stand firm you did nothing wrong. Focus on that interview coming up." She'd been right. My instructor, Harriet Cole, had recommended me for a position at a major hospital in Charlotte, blending finance with healthcare admin. The role promised better pay and stability, using skills from my certification. The interview was the following Tuesday. I prepared rigorously, reviewing notes on billing cycles and revenue management. Caroline Foster, the hiring manager, was impressed with my marketing background and fresh certification. "We need someone detail-oriented who can handle pressure. Your resume shows that." The offer came by week's end, $75,000 starting salary. Full benefits. I accepted on the spot. A leap from my current job. For once, success felt earned solely by me. Mom called that evening, her voice laced with fury. "Your father is devastated. That money was ours too, if you don't return it. We'll talk to a lawyer about fraud." I laughed bitterly. "Go ahead. Mom, it's my money, and the bank records prove it. I'm done being your ATM." She hung up, but the exchange left me shaken. Gloria texted support later. "You've got this, boundaries are power." Fiona echoed it over drinks. "They're panicking because they lost control. Celebrate your new job instead." As the weeks passed, the threats fizzled. No lawyer letters arrived. Likely because they knew the case was weak. I gave notice at my marketing firm. My boss congratulatory despite the short tenure. The course wrapped up strong, with Harriet praising my progress in a final review. "You're top of the class. That hospital gig, you'll excel." I walked out feeling empowered, the family drama fading against my gains. 3 months after starting my new job, the tension escalated online. I logged into Facebook one evening after work and saw a post from Dylan that stopped me cold. He'd written, "Sometimes family lets you down when you need them most. My sister abandoned us in tough times. Guess blood isn't thicker than water." It had likes from distant relatives and a few comments questioning what happened. My heart raced. This was his retaliation after I'd refused his plea for money 2 weeks earlier. It started with a private message from him. "Brenda, things are rough here. Dad's job is shaky, and we need $2,000 to cover bills. It's the last time, promise, for family." I'd stared at the screen, remembering how he'd never once acknowledged the years I'd supported them. "No, Dylan, I've given enough. Figure it out yourselves." His response was immediate. "You're heartless. After all we've done." I blocked the chat. But clearly, he took it public to paint me as the villain. The post sparked a chain reaction. Mom commented underneath, "We're heartbroken, but some people choose selfishness over kin." Dad added a sad emoji. But then my Aunt Joanna Pierce chimed in. "Maybe examine your own actions first. Brenda's been carrying this family alone. Time to own up." Her words drew more replies, some supportive of me from cousins I'd lost touch with. I screenshotted everything, including Dylan's plea, in case it escalated further. Kyle called that night after seeing it. "Ignore the noise. They're lashing out because the free ride ended. Block if you need to." We reviewed my privacy settings, and I unfollowed the family accounts to shield myself. Amid the chaos, work became my anchor. Irene called me into her office for a performance review. "Brenda, your work on revenue optimization has saved us thousands already. The team values your input." She offered a promotion to senior financial analyst, with a $10,000 raise and more responsibilities overseeing audits. I accepted. The validation hitting different after years of invisibility at home. Celebrations were low-key, a dinner with Fiona and Gloria at a local bistro. "This is your win," Fiona toasted. Gloria added, "Proof that betting on yourself pays off." The real blow came mid-month when Kyle forwarded news from Raleigh. Dad had lost his job at the manufacturing plant, a victim of company downsizing amid economic slowdowns in North Carolina. No severance, just unemployment checks that barely covered basics. Mom's part-time gig at a retail store wasn't enough, and whispers from Joanna confirmed they were dipping into credit cards to stay afloat. Part of me felt a twinge of sympathy. Dad's heart condition meant higher medical costs without employer insurance. But it faded when I recalled how they'd squandered my contributions on Dylan's extras instead of building a buffer. Dylan messaged again through a new account, begging for reconciliation. "Sis, we're struggling. That 2,000 could change everything. Don't let pride ruin us." I deleted it without replying, then blocked him fully across platforms. Kyle helped set up stricter filters, ensuring no more surprises. The online fallout quieted as relatives sided privately, some reaching out to me with apologies for not noticing the imbalance sooner. By month's end, my new role involved leading a project on cost efficiencies, collaborating with departments across the hospital. The workload was intense but fulfilling, far from the marketing pitches I'd left behind. Fiona noticed the change during our weekly catch-up. "Your glowing family drama aside," I laughed. "It's because I'm finally free." Gloria echoed it in our last study group reunion, now that the course was done. "You've rebuilt stronger." The family's desperation showed in one last email from Mom, forwarded by Joanna. "We're facing eviction if things don't turn. Your help could save us." I archived it, unmoved. Their choices led here, not mine. As I closed my laptop, the weight lifted further. This chapter was closing. On my terms. 6 months after the online storm quieted, I made the final cut. I blocked Mom, Dad, and Dylan on every platform: phone, email, social media. No more messages slipping through. No more guilt trips. Joanna warned me they'd try backdoor channels, like relatives relaying pleas. But I set firm boundaries there too. Tell them I'm done, I instructed when a cousin messaged. The silence that followed was deafening but freeing. For the first time in years, my inbox held only work updates and friend invites, not demands. News from Raleigh trickled in through Joanna, painting a stark picture of their downfall. Dad's unemployment stretched on, his applications rejected in a tough job market for older workers in North Carolina. Without steady income, they defaulted on credit card payments, racking up fees that snowballed their debt. Mom took a second shift at the retail store, stocking shelves late into the night for minimum wage, her complaints echoing through family chats about sore feet and rude customers. They sold the family home, a modest 3-bedroom in Raleigh they'd owned for decades, to a developer flipping properties. The proceeds barely covered the outstanding house equity loan from Dylan's old car purchase, leaving them in a cramped rental apartment on the outskirts, where utilities cost more and neighbors were strangers. Dylan, cut off from handouts, dropped his carefree lifestyle. He moved back in with them temporarily, picking up odd jobs like delivery driving, grumbling about how real life sucks in texts Joanna forwarded. No more Europe trips or boutique sprees. He pawned some gifts to pay bills, his golden status tarnished by reality. Meanwhile, my life in Charlotte flourished. The promotion settled in, with me leading audits that streamlined hospital finances, earning praise from higher-ups. Irene assigned me a high-profile project optimizing vendor contracts, which I nailed, saving the department $15,000 in the first quarter, outside work. I used part of the reclaimed money for a down payment on a cozy townhouse near Uptown, 2 bedrooms, a small yard, and no shared walls. Closing day felt monumental. I walked through the empty rooms, envisioning a space truly mine. Fiona helped decorate, turning it into a haven with simple furniture and plants. "This is your fresh start," she said over pizza that night. Gloria hosted a housewarming with her kids, sharing laughs about our course days, from study buddies to "this proud of you." Kyle became a regular fixture, stopping by for dinners where we'd dissect family updates without emotion. "They're reaping what they sowed," he'd say, updating me on their latest struggles, like Mom's denied loan application due to bad credit. Joanna visited once, bringing stories of how the extended family distanced themselves after seeing the truth. "Your post opened eyes, no more enabling." We bonded over non-family holidays, like Thanksgiving at her place, free from old tensions. Dylan tried one last reach through her, asking to borrow from me indirectly, but she shut it down. "He's learning the hard way," she reported, a year out. Their situation stabilized at rock bottom. Dad found part-time consulting gigs online, barely above poverty line, while Mom's store job offered no benefits, forcing them to skip non-essential doctor visits despite his heart issues. Dylan enrolled in community college belatedly, funding it with loans and work study. No longer the pampered son. They lived paycheck to paycheck in that rental, clipping coupons and skipping luxuries they'd once taken for granted. Joanna mentioned Mom's bitter comments at gatherings, blaming me for their ruin, but fewer listened. The family rift widened, with cousins siding quietly my way. Reflecting on it all, I realized withdrawing that money wasn't vengeance, it was survival. I'd spent too long proving worth to people who never valued it. Now, thriving in my townhouse with a solid career and real support network, I knew the truth. Self-respect comes from within, not family approval. To all of you who've stuck with this story, thank you for listening to the end. It means the world. If you've faced similar favoritism or tough cuts, share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you do in my shoes? Your stories inspire me too.